Good evening, folks. This is Brian with the latest IndianPeaksWeather.net update. A quick update tonight. We're focused mainly on the weekend, and then I'll post an update tomorrow night, Friday night, about next week. Still looking like cooler and stormier conditions are on their way for the Colorado Mountains, Central and Southern Rockies, which means the possibility of snow for the ski resorts. And we now have 2 ski resorts open, Bay Basin and Loveland. So we're on our way, and looks really promising next week for even more snow in the mountains around here. Currently at our house in Nederland, as you can see here, weather on the ground, it's 33 degrees, almost 34 degrees. Had a chilly low this morning, 25 degrees. And I do expect the temperature to be gradually dropping tonight back into the upper 20s. Winds are currently from the southwest, fairly light right now. We do have a storm system passing to our south, well to our south. And I'll switch over to the radar mosaic here from the National Weather Service. Nederland is right about here. And as you can see, there is some precipitation well to our south, primarily over Arizona and New Mexico. A few interesting things to note in this image. You can see a circulation right here, a little bit east, southeast of Flagstaff. You can see the circulation in the radar echoes. And that's the center of an upper level low, a trough that will be swinging across well south of us tonight and during the day tomorrow. Ahead of the system, you can see the winds are from the southwest aloft, and that's advecting precipitation slowly up into southern Colorado. And we can't rule out the possibility of some showers around here tomorrow, perhaps even some snow showers, but accumulation should be light. Precipitation amounts will get heavier, though, as you head down to the south and east on the plains, down towards Lyman, and down, of course, as you get towards Kansas. Climate Prediction Center, still looking pretty good for us for next week, as I was saying. 6 to 10 day outlook, which takes us into the first week and a half in November. Looking at below normal temperatures across the Great Basin, down here in Utah. And precipitation-wise, looking at above normal precipitation expected across much of the central portion of the country and even across northeastern Colorado there, including Nederland. 8 to 14 day outlook is similar, below normal temperatures, and we're right on the border between equal chances of below or above normal precipitation. Taking a look at the big picture, we're going to go over to the Weather Underground Wonder Map here. And you can see temperatures across the area. As usual, cooler up in the high country. Up here in Nederland, again, temperatures in the low 30s along the Peak Highway, low to mid 30s. A couple readings around the freezing or in the upper 20s as you get down towards Black Hawk and Central City. Out in the plains, temperatures generally in the upper 30s to low 40s, so not a big temperature spread tonight. And there is a bit of an inversion, I think, over the plains from radiational cooling. But again, with the storm system approaching, I think temperatures will be gradually dropping across our area tonight. And we are expecting a cold front to drop southward across the area and the plains during the day tomorrow, which will keep temperatures on the cool side for everybody. Taking a look at the NAM, we're going to focus on a slightly different aspect of the NAM. What we're looking at here is a map of the winds and the humidity at about 15,000 feet above us, so it's even above the summits of the 14ers in Colorado. And this is called the 500 millimar chart. It's a good chart for tracking where storms are going, and it's also a good, especially for mountainous areas, it's a good map for looking at where lift is occurring and where precipitation may be occurring. I'm going to turn on my pen here. And wait for it. There it is, okay. Do a little bit of drawing. So what we're looking at here, this is a trough. Nederland is right about here. I'll put a dot there. This is a trough coming through here. And generally, when you're looking at these troughs, they tend to move from west to east like most of the weather does at our latitude. There also tends to be lift on this side of the trough which can lead to precipitation, clouds, and weather. And on the backside of the trough, you tend to have sinking air, which tends to result in fairer weather. Now, of course, there are exceptions, but that's what we're looking for when we're looking at the 500 millibar chart, is where these troughs are tracking. Now, in between, I'll change the color here a little bit, we have a ridge. That tends to signify fairer weather and a less or smaller chance of precipitation. And you can see there's quite a few of these troughs, sometimes called shortwave troughs if they're really small and narrow, like the one over the northeast. And again, they tend to move from west to east, and they're waves basically. Energy in the atmosphere does travel in waves, and they can phase in and out together, and that can sometimes lead to the rapid development of storms, especially to the lee side of the Rockies here in eastern Colorado and also off the east coast and the Gulf of Mexico as well. Clear this. All right, so what we're going to do now is just step through. Again, this is the NAM, it's a short range model. We'll step through over the next 3 days or so into the weekend, and you'll be able to see that that trough by tomorrow morning begins to pinch off a little bit on the border of Arizona and New Mexico. But again, it's well to our south. In fact, the flow up here remains mainly from the west, meaning that we'll probably get downslope somewhat here in the Front Range from the Continental Divide. And as we progress during the day, tomorrow on Friday, the trough begins to lift. The trough axis slowly pushes to our east. You can see there is some moisture up at 500 millibars. But in general, the trough will be exiting as we get into Saturday morning. And then during the day on Saturday, we have a ridge pushing in. And these black lines you're looking at are their height contours. They're in decameters. And the winds at 500 millibars at this level in the atmosphere tend to flow parallel to these height contours, as you can see here. Not always. There's some exceptions. They tend to. And in weather geek speak, that's part of what we call geostrophic wind flow. The point is that as we go through the weekend and Sunday morning, and then into Monday, notice how straight the height contours become across the country, and that's zonal flow. And that tends to result in very fair weather for the most part. You can get some very quick, weak moving disturbances in that flow, but again, they're weak and quick. And in the case of Colorado, it looks like the weather's going to be generally fair. It doesn't mean that there may not be a few high clouds in the sky from time to time, but the conditions should be dry. The next system to watch, though, will be this trough that you see here beginning to dive down and carve into the Pacific Northwest. I won't talk about it too much tonight, but back to Monday morning, you can see that this is going to be our next weather maker for the desert Southwest. And again, there's quite a bit of uncertainty as to exactly what this storm is going to do. So let's go back and just take a quick look at a more familiar level in the atmosphere. And this is the surface. We're all fairly used to looking at surface weather maps, highs and lows. And we'll start a loop with that. I'll stop here. So this is going to be Friday morning. And again, you can see the green areas of precipitation. And you can see for the most part the precipitation is well to our south or to the west side of the Continental Divide. Again, because the winds really aren't going to be very favorable for upslope flow here in the Front Range in Netherlands. So we continue on. Can't rule out a few showers during the day. Again, we do expect a weak cold front to be sinking southward, and that will help to destabilize the atmosphere somewhat here in northeast Colorado and the Front Range foothills. But nothing significant. Wouldn't be surprised to see some flakes of snow. Maybe even enough to put a dusting on the ground. But that's about it. Nothing too big. And then finally, by the time we get into Friday night, the precipitation dies off as that trough moves to the west. And then from there on out, during the day on Saturday, and then into Sunday morning, we're looking high and dry here. Not exceptionally warm, but on the plains it's going to be a pleasant weekend. We're getting a little bit of that downslope wind, those Chinook winds, adiabatic drying. So we're going to be seeing a pretty big difference in the temperatures between the plains and the mountains this weekend, with I think temperatures getting near 70 degrees on Sunday in the plains around Denver. staying generally in the upper 40s to lower 50s in the mountains and the higher foothills. And again, we'll have to watch this next storm system pulling in. It's going to be a slow mover, which means plenty of time to draw moisture into it. Looks pretty promising right now for California and Lake Tahoe, but time will tell. So in a nutshell, we're looking at a really nice weekend here in Nederland, and I will bring up the Weather Underground forecast. I tend to like to look at that. And this is a forecast tailored for our location here in Nederland. And there you go. I think the snow amounts might be a little bit high for us tomorrow, but the important thing to note, it's going to be pretty chilly. Highs struggling to get out of the upper 30s. We may be able to hit the 40-degree mark if we get some sunshine, but it's going to be a pretty cloudy day. And again, with some showers and snow showers. And then the weekend here, Ned, not bad. Slightly warmer than normal. Highs getting to near 50 on Sunday, and then 53 on Monday. And then we have to watch the storm system for next week, especially later in the week. You see temperatures will be generally gradually cooling. And by Thursday and Friday, there is a possibility for our first decent snowfall of the season. And you can see temperatures will be plenty cold enough as well for that snow to stick around. So more on that either tomorrow night or on Saturday, and I appreciate you for joining me tonight. We'll talk again soon. Have a good weekend.